Hello and welcome back, students, to part 2 of the story The Portrait of a Lady. But before I start explaining it further, let's have a quick recap of what we have done in part 1 of the story. Children, in part 1, I told you about the physical appearance of the grandmother, her inner beauty, which the author has described very beautifully and compared it to the winter landscape in the mountains. Then he discussed about the strong bond that he shared with his grandmother in his childhood when they both used to live together in the village, and the turning point which came in their relationship when they came to live in the city and the author was admitted in an English medium school and started going to school in a motor bus, and the grandmother could not accompany him to school. Now we will continue further. As the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. For some time she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. As the years rolled by, as the time passed, with the passage of time, they spent less time with each other. You know, the author, the narrator, he got busy with his studies and they could not spend much time with each other. In the beginning in the city, the grandmother, as was her routine, she used to wake him up early in the morning for school and help him in getting ready for school. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught me. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. This made her unhappy. She could not help me with my lessons. The grandmother was always concerned about his education. So when he returned from school, she used to ask him what the teacher had taught him in school. And the narrator, now he would tell about the English words that he had learnt in school, the science that he was studying, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. But the grandmother was not happy with this education that was imparted in the city school. Why? First of all, she could not help him with his lessons. She was not well versed with English and science, no? So she could not teach him and help him with those lessons. Another reason was she did not believe in the things they taught at the English school and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. Another thing is she did not like the subjects that were being taught in the school and also was really worried and upset about the fact that there was no teaching about God, about the scriptures, the holy books, and moral values to the students. One day I announced that we were being given music lessons. She was very disturbed. To her, music had lewd associations. It was the monopoly of harlots and beggars and not meant for gentlefolk. One day, when the narrator returned from school, as usual, he told what happened in the school, and he also taught that now the students were being given music lessons in school. But the grandmother was very disturbed and upset after listening to this. Why? Because she was a very orthodox and conservative woman, and in her opinion, music was not meant for gentle people. It had lewd association, lewd meaning obscene or something vulgar, and she felt that it was meant only for, it was the monopoly of harlots, harlots meaning prostitutes and beggars, and it was not for gentle people. She said nothing, but her silence meant disapproval. She rarely talked to me after that. Although she did not object, she did not say a word, but her silence the narrator could understand very well that she did not like it. But she kept quiet and they did not discuss about it any further. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snapped. See, now the narrator grew up. He is going for higher studies to the university and now he needs his own room. Till now, they have been sharing the same room. Now he got his own private room, and he says the common link of friendship was snapped. What was the common link? That till date they were sharing the same room. Now that link was also broken because they got their separate rooms. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. See, the grandmother was a very strong woman. She had strength from inside. She did not express her emotions easily. She accepted her seclusion meaning loneliness, with resignation, without showing any feelings or without showing any resistance, or she had a good restraint over her emotions. She rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. Now she occupied herself and she made herself busy spinning on the wheel. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel, spinning and reciting prayers. From early morning till evening, she would sit beside the spinning wheel, she would spin, and while doing her work, she would keep chanting her prayers. Only in the afternoon she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. Only in the afternoon she used to take a break from her work, and during that time she used to feed the birds, she used to feed the sparrows. While she sat in the veranda, breaking the bread into little bits, hundreds of little birds collected round her, creating a veritable bedlam of chirrupings. While she would sit in the veranda and make chapatis of bread into little crumbs, thousands or hundreds of birds would gather around her, and they would create a veritable bedlam of chirrupings, meaning a very noisy and chaotic scene of chirrupings. They would chirrup and there would be such a confused, noisy scene created there. Some came and perched on her legs, others on her shoulders. Some even sat on her head. She smiled, but never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. Now the birds are so friendly with her. Some of the birds came and sat on her legs, others would sit on her shoulders, some birds would sit on her head, but she would never fly them away, she would never shoo them away, she would rather smile, and this used to be the best half hour of the day, the happiest half hour of the day for her. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age one could never tell. Then, after the university education, the narrator decided to go abroad to a foreign country for his higher studies, and he thought that his grandmother would be really upset because he was going abroad for 5 long years. And he says at her age one could never tell. She was so old that he thought that she would not live so long, she would not survive, and so she would not like this idea of the grandson going away for 5 years. But my grandmother could. But the grandmother, who was a very strong lady, she lived. She was not even sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station, but did not talk or show any emotion. When the narrator disclosed this news to the grandmother that he was going abroad for 5 years, she was not even sentimental. She did not cry or show any emotions, and she even came to say goodbye to him to the railway station. And there also she did not talk or express any emotions. Her lips moved in prayer, her mind was lost in prayer. See, such a religious lady. Even at the station, she was lost in her prayers and she was busy doing her silent prayers. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of her rosary. Silently, she kissed my forehead, and when I left, I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. While at the station also, she was busy telling the beads of the rosary and doing the prayers. Only before departing, She kissed the narrator on his forehead, and he said that he cherished, he valued that moist, wet mark left by his grandmother on his forehead, the kiss that was given by the grandmother on his forehead, as maybe the last physical contact between them. He thought maybe this was the last meeting between them, and now he would not be able to see his grandmother alive again. But that was not so. But it did not happen. Contrary to his thinking, what happened? After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. After completion of his studies, when he returned home, the grandmother was at the railway station to receive him. She did not look a day older. She still looked the same. She still had no time for words, and while she clasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayers. Still, she did not say anything when he returned from abroad. She just gave a hug to her grandson, and while doing so, she was still reciting her prayers. Even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with her sparrows, whom she fed longer and with frivolous rebukes. Even on the first day when the narrator arrived, there was no change in her routine. She fed the sparrows as usual, and that day maybe for longer because she was very happy and with frivolous rebukes. What is meant by frivolous rebukes? Rebukes or scoldings which are light-hearted. She scolded the birds, but she did not actually mean it. Out of affection, she used to scold those birds. In the evening, a change came over her. She did not pray, but in the evening, the narrator noticed a change in the grandmother. That day, a very shocking or surprising thing happened. What? That day, the grandmother did not pray. Rather, what did she do? She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum, and started to sing. She called the women of the neighborhood, took an old drum, dholak we call it in Hindi, and she started singing. For several hours she thumped the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum and sang of the homecoming of warriors. For many hours she beat that drum, which was in very withered and old condition, and sang the songs of the homecoming of warriors. She celebrated the return of the grandson as the return of warriors was celebrated when they returned alive from the war. We had to persuade her to stop to avoid overstraining. The family members said that she should not overstrain or exert herself. That was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. And the narrator says that so many years he had known his grandmother, but that was the first day he had seen that she did not pray, and rather she celebrated. She see the love of the grandmother for the grandson. That day she omitted her prayers and she celebrated the arrival of the grandson by singing songs with the women of the neighborhood. The next morning she was taken ill. It was a mild fever, and the doctor told us that it would go. The next morning, as they were expecting, she fell ill. She was tired and she was very old and weak. Then it was a mild fever. When they called the doctor, he said that it will be all right. She would be all right. But my grandmother thought differently. She told us that her end was near. But the grandmother, she said no, she knows now she's not going to live any longer. Her end is near. She said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray, she was not going to waste any more time talking to us. The grandmother told the family members that since just a few hours before the close of her life, that now the last chapter of her life is going to be closed. She knew that her end is very close, and since she had omitted her prayer, now she would not waste any more time talking to anybody, and she just wanted to pray. She was repenting and regretting that she had not prayed, and now she would only pray. See, this shows her strong love for the grandson. She was just waiting for him to come back, and now she knew that she would not live. She was just living in the hope that he should return safely. She would see him, and now she fell ill and she is about to die. We protested, but she ignored our protests. She lay peacefully in bed, praying and telling her beads. Even before we could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor spread on her face, and we knew that she was dead. The family members, they protested. They said no, she should take rest. She should not do any prayers and completely rest. But she ignored. She did not pay heed to their words. She lay peacefully in the bed, praying and telling the beads of her rosary. And even before anybody could think what happened, her lips had suddenly stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor, pallor meaning paleness, spread on her face and she was no more. She passed away very peacefully, praying to God. We lifted her off the bed and, as is customary, laid her on the ground and covered her with a red shroud. The family members lifted the body from the bed, which is the custom, no? Get dead bodies kept on the ground. They kept the body on the ground and covered it with a red shroud. Shroud, children, is the cloth with which the dead body is covered. After a few hours of mourning, we left her alone to make arrangements for her funeral. For a few hours, the family, they lamented over her death, they cried, and then they all went to make arrangement for her last rites. In the evening, we went to her room with the crude stretcher to take her to be cremated. In the evening, after the arrangements, they went to her room with the stretcher, in which the dead body is carried for the funeral. The sun was setting and had lit her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. It was evening time, the sun was setting, but her room and veranda was filled with golden light. Maybe she was such a pure soul, there was light in her room, that is, the light of a pure soul. We stopped halfway in the courtyard, all over the veranda and in her room, right up to where she lay dead and stiff, wrapped in the red shroud. Thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor, and all the family members just were amazed to see that in the courtyard and in the veranda, till the place where her dead body was kept on the ground, thousands of birds had gathered and were sitting around the corpse. There was no chirruping, and surprisingly, none of the birds were making any sound or any chirruping. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother fetched some bread for them. They felt sorry and they thought, as was their routine, they had come to eat their bread pieces from the grandmother. So the narrator's mother went to the kitchen to bring some bread for them. She break it into little crumbs the way my grandmother used to and threw it to them. The mother broke the bread into small pieces like the grandmother and gave those birds those breadcrumbs to eat. The sparrows took no notice of the bread. See, the birds did not even look at the bread. They did not eat the bread. The sparrows took no notice of the bread when we carried my grandmother's corpse off. They flew away quietly. Next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. And when the family members carried the corpse for its last rites, the birds also flew away from there silently. The birds whom she had befriended and whom she used to feed every day, they also came to mourn over her death. They sat there silently like human beings. They did not make any chirruping sound, although every day there would be a chaotic scene. That day there was complete silence. The birds did not eat the breadcrumbs, and when the body was taken away for funeral, they also flew away silently. And next morning, sweeper had to sweep those breadcrumbs into the dustbin. This was the sacred and pure soul of the grandmother. Even the birds loved her so much. That's all, my dear students. I hope the story is clear. Please do revise it, and in my next video I will discuss the question answers with you. Thank you.